child and I'm earthbound and I'm this and I'm flesh. You born into the flesh, but honey, if you take my spirit out of this flesh, this body ain't nothing. And what Deborah and Elvin created is dead. Tap into who you were, who God spoke to in the heavens before he sent you. Because he told you, if he knew you before he formed you. He knew you before he formed you. He knew you before he formed you. Y'all, we better take the limits off and get our mind right. We have to transform our mind because he knew me before he sent me to this place. He knew me before Deborah and Elvin got together. And so, if he knew me, then what I need to do is I need to rewind and I need to fine-tune my connection with my daddy. Lord, help me to remember we ain't asking that. Lord, help me to remember who I was. And see, some of y'all scared to go to the next level, to go to the next progression in God. You're okay with being human and normal, but I'm not okay with being human and normal no more, because all human and normal got me was looked over, stepped on, and broke. I am trying to tap into who God said I was before I got here. So, Daddy, who was I when you said, let us make man in our image? Was I right there with you? And what was my position then? And what was it about me, God, that you chose me to come to the earth? Because everybody up there did not get to come to the earth. And so what is it about me? God, you must have saw something in me that you sent me here with a purpose. So it don't matter. It must be something that if man don't see it, if I don't understand it, God, awaken me to who I was before I got into the earth. Because if you can awaken, if you put that petition before the Lord, I promise you, when I see you again, you'll tell me he answered. Because when you know who you are, you walk like it. When you know who you are, you walk with a purpose. Then the things that the enemy is trying to do, the sabotage that he is trying to place in your life, the people that he is trying to use to distract you and destroy you, you render them powerless. Because once you tap into the power that God has given you of who you are, you will walk as that in the earth. I refuse to believe or even preach that we born, we live, and we die. I was sent to the earth with purpose, and I shall not die until that purpose is fulfilled. But before I can even really begin, some of y'all been trying to go forth a little bit. Some of y'all been trying to, but you keep shrinking back because you're looking around you. Do not look around you. Do not look at how they preach, how they talk, what they're saying. You tap into the you that you were before you hit the earth. See, what happens is when this body hits the earth, when the spirit hits this body and you hit the earth, this flesh going through it, because there is no good thing in the process. So you're wrestling against yourself, trying to be merged back with who you were before you hit. You're wrestling to get, that's why you're uncomfortable. That's why some of y'all feel go into a depression, because you're wrestling against this flesh and who you were before you hit here. And so when you hit this flesh, before you are reconnected with spirit, you go through a lot of things in this flesh that cause you to be a little discombobulated. And so if you stay in flesh too long, the further you get away from your spirit self. And so in this day, today, we're crying out, God, awaken me to who I was before I hit this body. Awaken me to who, because you cannot survive. You cannot survive another month. You cannot survive another season walking around like you just flesh, baby. You cannot. You cannot. My cry for every person that is on this broadcast and that will replay this broadcast, God, awaken them to who they were when you knew them, when you knew them in heaven, when you conversed with them in heaven, when we can sit at the throne and talk to you. Awaken me to my conversations with you. Awaken me to what you told me about why you were sending me to the earth. Awaken me to that. Because if you awaken me to that, God, I'm going to run this race like I'm going to run this race like I'm crazy. I'm going to run this race. Awaken me to who I was before I hit the earth. I cannot go another day. I cannot go another month walking around thinking I was just Deborah and Elvin's daughter, because that came with its own pain. That came with its own trials. I must awaken. I must awaken. I must awaken to who I was when you knew me, before you formed me in the belly of my mother, so that I can go forth. I must snatch down every imagination that tells me I cannot. I must snatch down every imagination that tells me I'm not good enough. I must snatch down every stronghold. We begging God to deliver. How do you defeat fear? You do the thing that it is telling you you cannot do. I'm scared to get on a live. You get on a live and I don't care if don't nobody jump on and you don't hear nothing but crickets. You do it. If he's telling you, I'm scared to ride, I'm scared to go drive at night, you get in that car and you put somebody on the passenger side and you drive until next thing you know that spirit of fear is gone. The reason that we have not reached and attained the things of God is because we believe the lies of the enemy. And it's one thing for the enemy to drop something in your mind, but when you let it be, it's one thing for something to be conceived and dropped in your mind, but when you let it take root and give birth to it, then you are the one that you are walking in a deception. And in this season, you cannot. So God, awaken us to purpose. Awaken us to who we were before we hit the earth. Don't look at the numbers. If I was looking at the numbers, I would not be at Souls Cry International. If I was looking at the numbers, I would not get on here on the Saturdays. I cannot look at the numbers because it is the season where my voice is getting ready to make the sound waves of my voice is getting ready to hit the airwaves. You be tenacious. You be tenacious. You speak until you speak, because eventually, if you understand how a radio and the sound waves work, how it's able to get to you in every radio, then you know eventually the sound will get to the people connected to you and you will draw them. In this season, is somebody on here that is drawing back for whatever reason, because they feel like the devil keeps telling you they're not receiving you. They're not receiving you. Well, they're not receiving you because you don't believe the lie, and the way that you preach is manifested in your belief of the lie. You're not coming forth in your true, authentic self because you don't believe the lie. And so in this season, we are I'm here to make the earth rumble. I'm here to make the devil uncomfortable. And I'm here to let him know that we are here. I must snatch the cover off the deception of the enemy that is coming against your mind, telling you what you can't do, telling you what you can't say. Those are thoughts that are contrary to the